Hey, well, this is Dilio, and this is why I believe that Studio One is the best DAW. All right, and before I do that, I just want to let you know that I do have an album out called Mess. It's on all platforms. Make sure you check that out. And as a disclosure, a lot of people take things. It's very interesting. I should talk about that. It's like if you don't like something, let me know if you experience this in the comments below. But it's like if you big up one platform, it's like, or if you don't like someone else's choice in their equipment or what they do, they take it really personal in this community. It's I think we're really bad at that, which is why I take time to say, hey, this is not an attack against you, or to say you are wrong for what you're using. And it's not an attack, and I'm probably not going to keep doing that disclosure for long, because at the end of the day, I can't play therapist to those who are insecure about the platforms they use when someone says, oh, I use something different. And that's my rant on that. Let's talk about Studio One, why I believe that Studio One is the best music production recording platform, best DAW. If you know, I'll just give you a quick synopsis. So the first thing was that I used to be a Pro Tools guy, and y'all know my video about why I no longer use Pro Tools. A lot of people subscribe to that video. Thank you so much for subscribing to this channel. I appreciate that. But the thing is that I transitioned to Studio One, and I sort of stayed. And one of the things that really got me into the door and why I feel like it's the best is the ease of use. Like, it was very easy to sort of not ever use it before. I think that was a big deal. Like, I didn't use it before, and I did have questions, but because of my prior experience, I was able to add tracks easily. I was able to understand the difference between a MIDI track, an audio track, and an instrument track. It was very easy for me to add MIDI controllers and also hardware devices and have them show up as devices like how a plugin would on the track. And so one of the biggest things I like about it was its ease of use. It was a very easy platform to get loaded into without any prior experience, without any, well, I won't say that because I do have prior experience working in DAWs, but no prior experience working in Studio One. It worked. And again, those who have had issues with running with Pro Tools and notice all the issues, I went in Studio One, and immediately all those issues were gone. And so one of the first things that I like is just its ease of use. Everything is right there in front of you. It's easy DAW to learn. It's just easy. It's easy. It's simple, it comes in different shapes and sizes, they got different flavors. I think they even got a free version out, and it was just an easy thing to work with. The second thing why I think it's like the best is that it plays with plugins nicely. Like, I've probably thrown every plugin I can throw at it. It doesn't do 32-bit plugins. I don't think there's like a bridge for that. I know you can use something like a J bridge. Once upon a time that was cool. Now I'm over it. I don't want to have to do a lot of stuff to get the plugins to work. And just about every plugin I throw at it works. It does VST 64 at 2, and it does VST 3, and it just plays nice with the plugins. You can drag them in. You don't necessarily have to browse to the top of the window and then say plugin like in an FL Studio environment. You click that, and then you drag that plugin in. Boom. Now you just click and drag in your plugins or effects. It comes with a lot of good sounds already, but we're in the plugin world, so I like to use plugins. I feel like we've peaked on plugins. I'm just going to do a side rant. I feel like we've peaked on plugins. Like, what plugin has came out that's been more ambitious than Omnisphere? Like, what? Like, you got a lot of great plugins that do a lot of great niche sounds that are sampled, and the plugin market has been wide open for a while, and even I'm getting ready to come back into the plugin market. But as far as like ambitious professional plugins, I haven't really seen anything more influential or more like, I gotta have it more deeper as far as like all-in-one plugin, not these little players where they come out these little flares for these little players. I'm talking about just one in-depth plugin. I haven't seen anything like it since Omnisphere. That level of plugin, that's it. But in any case, Studio One does play nice with plugins, and I really like that. There's a lot of good shortcut keys and macros you can do in Studio One. If you want to do the shortcuts of any other platform, you can tell it. It's almost like Premiere. Like, if I could compare it to Adobe Premiere is a video editing software, and one of the things I like about Adobe Premiere is that you can select your keys, and you can make your own custom key combinations, or any controller you want to make it do whatever you want. Same thing as Studio One. Like, I could probably like take my Stream Deck and turn it into a studio. That's a good idea. Turn my Stream Deck controller into a Studio One transport control, so that I don't always have to click the buttons right there. And I think that's one of the things I like about it. I like how you can bounce the plugins into blocks the plugins combined with MIDI data and combine them into waveforms, which is great for archival purposes. So in case the computer crashes and you want to upload the same thing, you don't have to worry about if you have the plugin installed. In case you take that session file and move it to another computer, all the sound is there. Definitely great for archival purposes. I can imagine a lot of times where I didn't archive or didn't bounce the plugin to a WAV file, and if I didn't have the plugin and ease of grasp of downloading, or I didn't have it on a hard drive connected, then I couldn't load up that sound and have to drag in another sound. So it's very complicated right there. Another thing about PreSonus with their software is that they have dedicated hardware. I don't know too many other DAWs who have their own dedicated hardware lines. Like I know like Focusrite is one. Even Universal Audio is coming out with their Luna, their own recording environment that works with their Apollo interfaces and things of that nature. But as far as Studio One, like Studio One has speakers, they have microphones, they have audio interfaces, and they have dedicated controllers. One thing I miss, and I sold this a fader to a friend, but I had this Fader Port Pro. It's like a 1-channel fader, and I got complacent with it because I sold it and I wasn't using it, or else I would have sold it. But it brought back some of the tactical experience that you lose working on a computer. Of course, Pro Tools, they got their control. Like there are a lot of controllers out there, and it's probably a lot I don't know about because I don't go looking for them. But one thing I do know is that like PreSonus, they have like an 8 fader dedicated controller for mixing your stuff in DAWs. As far as mixing and engineering, I think that's so important to have faders for mixing. So much more fun and more intuitive. It's like you can feel it and get right there. Whereas, of course, you can get there with a mouse, and I've done that, but I really do like having those faders there to move that fader exactly right where you want it. Having those knobs. That's one thing I like about mixing boards, is that you got the knobs there, and when you want to go make it happen and manifest what you want the mix to do, you can go to that knob, boom, dial it in. These digital controllers now, and it's hard to do that in the digital world because you got all this software, you got all these DAW softwares, and you got all these different dedicated controllers. Like for instance, Nectar has made a MIDI controller, but they had to put so much flexibility in it to reach a wider thing than just its own thing. But as far as with PreSonus, and what I like about their environment is that if I want a 16-channel digital mixing controller, I can just go buy that, plug it in, and it's probably going to work. It's probably not going to take a lot of work to get it working. And all the knobs are going to be set to where they're supposed to be. We're going to display. Now, I'll tell you one thing. I used to use a Project Mix IO from M Audio as a digital controller and audio interface for Studio One. That goes back to my whole flexibility thing. And it took some work. It took some tweaking, but eventually through music machine code, MIDI, whatever it was, Mackie machine controller, whatever, it talks that, and I was able to use that with the controller, but it took some work to get that there. And that's something I really miss, because I enjoyed having those faders there, moving things where I wanted to go. That's why I'm eyeballing the Fader Port 16 for my collection, because that's going to really finalize. And I don't need more than that. It just makes a big difference there. So the dedicated hardware, the dedicated audio interfaces makes a difference. You got Behringer audio interfaces, but I don't think Behringer has a DAW. They're totally capable of it because they make everything else. Focusrite is another brand that has audio interfaces. Nice priced audio interfaces, but they don't have their own recording environment. Universal Audio, extremely nice audio interfaces, but they don't have their recording environment. Sans Luna, right? I think Luna is something that they're doing right now, and I think it's still growing. And what you get with this software is a very refined experience. What I mean by that is just the smoothest, the way it visually hits your eye, the way you move with it. Case in point, like FL Studio, right? FL Studio, I don't use it as much, but I actually played on it again because I can go to any platform I want to. I don't have to explain that to anybody. But what I liked about it was that I was like, wow, just the way everything, it's like and when you don't use it for a while, you get to really notice these nuances, but it's like a very refined experience. It doesn't get hung up. But it's on version 20, 21, 22 now. And then when I go to MPC, it's not as a refined experience on the software. It's just not the same thing. You know, that's one thing I have to give to FL Studio, is that their visual experience, just the way it moves, the refinement of the software from it opening up to closing, is a very refined thing compared to the MPC. Even though I like this experience, is fun having that tactile thing there, but for the most part, you know, it's more refined on the FL Studio side. I have to give it to FL Studio for that. But that's one of the reasons why I feel like it's the best. It's not expensive to get into. All software is expensive, especially if you haven't invested into it before. But I think that it is a great platform. It just works. At the end of the day, it just works. And when something works and it works well, and I'm able to do work with it very quickly, it's great. It's a thing. You know, no iLocks, just no crap. It just works. Just does what I need it to do. It does it well. It comes with some great plugins, some great processing. Easy to automate, easy to do voice correction. You want to throw autotune in there, or you want to use Melodyne. It integrates natively with Melodyne, which is a really cool option when you want to really get those vocals perfect. It does all that, and it's a great thing. So that's why I feel like that Studio One is the best DAW out there. If you disagree, feel free to disagree respectfully. You know, and again, I know some people are at stages in their life where they take what they use very personally, and if you're not with it, like, it's just an internet thing. I haven't really encountered it in person, but it just seems like on the internet people take it personally if you don't agree with their thing. So if you feel like you got a different platform and you feel it the best, tell me why your platform is the best, and I'd definitely like to see your comments and hear what you have to say about the platform that you feel like is the best as far as when it comes to being a digital audio workstation. I'd love to hear that, respectfully, obviously, and we'll go from there. But that's my thoughts about Studio One. That's my Studio One 4 review right there for you. I'll see you on the next video. I'm out.